Hi, good morning. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen with you. This is for the facilities and technology needs assessment presentation. And I will share that with you now. Okay. So you should already have the handout. So we're going to go ahead and review the budget analysis, the school improvement plan, facilities and technology audit findings. We're going to also evaluate and touch on our revenue streams, right? The various sources of incomes or funding that contribute to our school's budget. And within that, we will just be going through examining discretionary funding, which, as you know, is typically used to address needs or opportunities that arise outside the regular fixed expenses. And this gives us, with discretionary funding, gives us the freedom to make decisions and allocate resources on priorities. We'll talk about grant funding and, of course, the community resources. Our revenue streams will be stemming from different places. In the next couple of slides, we'll see, we'll go through government funding, local property taxes, grants, donations, things like that. And then we'll be talking about budgeting for personnel in our school, allocating for staff benefits, and related expenses. We're going to be considering personnel costs, staff levels, salary scales, and the benefits of these, and talking about our strategic budget planning that aligns with these things, personnel expenses and the school's educational goals. So first, we kind of took everything. You should already have the handout for the discretionary funding chart, but we kind of put it into kind of an easy to read graph here. So if you'll see, our first goal was to here with discretionary funding was to really increase diverse reading materials, making sure students have access to all of these different reading materials at their appropriate levels. You can see, so let me just get the pointer. We have discretionary funds here at 20,000. Okay, this is 20,000 of available for reading materials. That's kind of where we're at for that. We also have our second, this would be, these are things that would be attributed to like diverse books, online resources, getting materials to engage students' interests. And then you'll see migrant ed over here in red at, it's a little bit lower. Migrant ed funds are at 10,000. So this would be like PLC for seminars, grade band teachers, cultural diverse, getting a learning coach. Last, you'll see our Title I funds here, and these are at 50,000. These provide funding resources were for workshops, guidance to parents on how to support reading, which is, whoops, didn't mean to go so fast here. And it just supporting, Title I funds, as you know, support students in reading at home, additional costs for students at 50,000. And then as we get into grant funding, I know we've been talking a lot about this. We created another easy infographic. You should already have the raw data in the handout, but the grant funding here, we're at 50,000 here. Wait, no, yeah. 50,000, this is what we need to fund a technology teacher. Because we really need a technology teacher to at our school. So we need to support that and make sure that that's in there. We have that piece. Then you'll see in red, you'll see the this is for the cultural diversity program. So the cultural diversity program here is at here comes to, okay, this is at about 35,000. to promote cultural diversity in the classroom, and this really integrate that cultural diverse reading piece. PTA is down here at about 20,000, but still important. What we really want to focus on is this spending money on a technology teacher, because that's where it's going to be able to, educate students. They're going to kind of bring their knowledge and skills to navigate in an increasingly digital world. It's also, as we know, tech is integrated into lots of different disciplines. And so we need this to incorporate technology into teachers, incorporate technology, help teachers incorporate it into their lessons, and just kind of promote innovative problem solving. We really need to kind of close the digital divide and have everyone have access to technology. So the tech teacher is really important here. All these others are as well, but we really wanted to focus on the tech teacher. As far as community resources and volunteer, we've got as we know, the cultural fair, which is a big community donation for online ELA resources, coming in at about 10,000. So we get some money for, let's see, Battle of the Books, right? Which is only at 500, but that's okay. Through PBIS, right? And the Badger Bucks as well. And then we know that, we've got this community library, okay? This is the grant. So we've got 10,000 coming in from Reading to Dogs donation and 10,000 from the Innovative Rewards program. So we're up to 15,000 for a community library. And then again, this is all available in the handout. I think the handout also, you might see, it looks like this, which is our budget analysis table. So what these three slides are, just kind of putting all these three categories into an easier to read graph here. So you can kind of peruse through that at your leisure. I'm going to go ahead and go down here. So we're going to talk about our school improvement plan, which includes, but is not limited to, vision and goals, data analysis, stakeholder engagement, curriculum instruction, professional development. I know we're all interested in that. Student support services, parent community involvement, resource allocation, monitoring and evaluation, and of course, implementation, right? That's what we're also going to be talking about coming up. Okay. As we go along, we're going to be looking at budget trends. We have observed an increase in revenue from local sources, and this also includes community resources for programs such as we were just talking about. This is coming from things like our book fair, cultural fair, PLC class reading contests, and the PBIS and community grants are all very important. So we're looking at the budget trends, and also the EFIG, the Education Finance Incentive Grants, which are given to states to aid districts with additional funding for low income and disadvantaged children. So another important piece here, I'm going to highlight that. We'll come back to that. And just kind of a reference, I know some people have been asking about this, what really are, what is within the scope of the principal's control? Well, in terms of budget streams and budget for personnel, we've got things that are, and definitely within the scope are discretionary spending, resource allocation with flexible categories. We've got, decision making related to these specific programs, and initiative implementation. Just to kind of touch also on things that are a little bit outside or limited, right, in the principal's controls. These are things we're going to talk about with fixed cost, of course, state and federal funding allocations, different regulations related to expenditure categories. So just kind of this is also in the handout, just so, things that are in our control immediately and some limits that we have. So it's good to recognize those. this is where we're gonna, take a minute and break up into small groups and talk about the things on this slide, the identified needs which require resources in terms of funding and people and time to implement them. So we just wanted to give you a chance to talk about that. Okay, we're back. Okay, so the facilities audit, some things that we've identified in terms of funding. Safety is a huge concern, as well as accessibility, functionality, aesthetics, and compliance with regulations. So it looks like a lot of you also had identified those based on the data. So you can clearly see that we need to look at things like landscaping. We've got a big issue regarding our parking lot, and we need to allocate resources to divert the water so we can control flooding. We need to also look at landscaping resources in terms of, what that's going to cost. That's going to be around 200,000. We need to have some resurfacing done. There are some hazards on the walkways. That's about 10,000. We're going to also need to be finishing and completing the ADA compliance rules for the bathrooms. Okay, that's also going to be flooring. So that's going to be around 215. This will be professional repair. We also need to look at, just the potential issues around that. This, as you can see, I know you have a copy of the facility audit. One thing that did come up immediately were the grounds. So we consider this an immediate concern. Okay, we have things like, we really need to, there are some issues with, as we talked about, with drainage and ditches, roadways, and sports fields. So the standing water has to kind of be controlled here. That's an immediate concern. When we're looking at landscaping resources to divert the water, and we've got an estimated cost of 200,000 on that. Another big one that we were focusing, another big need is this parking lot issue regarding safety. We consider this an urgent and immediate issue. So not only do we have kind of this excess of water, but we've also got issues with congestion. And we need to, when we're resurfacing and going in to fix some of these issues with our standing water in the grounds, we're also going to need to kind of control the flow of traffic, as you noticed on pickup and drop off. So we're going to also maybe alternate the locale on that and make, we have some additional availability in terms of space, so we might consider expanding, and we've got the estimate for that. But we do consider this an urgent need. We know that, this has been reflected as a large concern by teachers and parents. So we are addressing that. And again, just to reiterate, the bathrooms are an immediate concern. We are aware of the ADA compliance rules. So they are a little bit outdated. We need to kind of finish with the replacement of that. We have started our ADA compliance, but we need to finish that, and as well as with the flooring. So our estimated cost to wrap that up would be 215,000. Okay, moving on to our technology audit. So we kind of focused in on, we looked at all the kinds of activities that students reported they were, interacting with and using technology in the classroom. Our concerns, we looked at the type of activity and the frequency. Our concerns are that we found little independence in kiddos' use of technology, not many opportunities to engage in overall activities. And teachers also, in our survey indicated they semi-rarely provide students with these opportunities. So our goal here is to facilitate training, supporting you in terms of technology to better support students and teachers, which we've already taken some steps to address. The aim is to identify here with the tech audit is to further identify our strengths and weaknesses so we can improve. Oops, a little too fast. A meaningful technology integration requires a long-term commitment with significant professional development implications, and that is from Hannafin. We had kind of been addressing this as one of the our PLC group project reads, so you might recognize that quote. How we obtained a lot of this information was in our Google form. So big thank you for filling all this out. I just wanted to say thanks. Everyone was pretty honest and very thorough in filling this out. So I know it was a little long, but your opinion matters, and this was all very, very helpful data that we were able to gather here. So thank you, big thank you on that. Okay, so moving on to our tech needs. I know you have the raw data again in the handout, but the big question we wanted to kind of focus on, it was a long survey, but some of the ones that standed out were, do sufficient quantities of the tools listed below throughout your school allow you to use them on a regular basis? Okay, that goes back to that question. So as you can see, there were, as far as updating computers, we felt like that was something that, we don't have. A lot of us felt like there were, too few or only occasionally. 20% thought we occasionally use them. Digital cameras did not have a daily use. People were not using these on a daily basis. As well as science, our science kits and our science probeware. A lot of us were not sure, but we just don't have, we're lacking in that area. So those were kind of the two things we were going to try to focus on here. Many teachers reported that even with a high level of access to technology, they don't necessarily use it with their students. And so, we know that to gain access to the lab, there is a waiting list and reservations for signing up. This leads to competition with the computer lab. So the potential need here is that we need to increase technology resources. So providing the resources themselves and also providing additional lab time. It will expand our access and availability. So we need to make sure the district is adding enough equipment for staff to realize that they can access it daily. We're looking for, our goal here is, can we use this daily? Okay. All right, the other, so we're looking how we can merge and integrate these additional technologies and also adding new technologies so we can access them. The other big burning question here that we wanted to find out was, how often do students use technology in your class? So this is also on the other graph. I know it's a little tight, a little hard to read here, but so although the Google Form survey was originally designed for an all district, it's clear when we zero in on elementary and middle school, we still must acknowledge that teachers rarely provide students with these opportunities, when it comes to producing project, working in teams, creating web pages, so when we looked at these kinds of activities, the students who were reporting they were interacting and using in the classroom, you can see on the table that it really reflects this, and the type of activities and their frequency. So there's little independence in the use of tech in school, and not as many opportunities we would like to see kids using these to really engage. So teachers also said, they're kind of semi-rarely providing students with these opportunities. Whoops, that got moved. And so that was a big issue in these areas listed here. So we need to additionally provide more training and support in tech. So we'll work on our PD, our professional development, to better support teachers and students. So we're taking steps to address this going forward. In terms of furniture, instructional strategy, or classroom supplies, we definitely identified some big needs in the flooring and the flooring and the lighting. So we're going to be addressing that. Also, another, so we talked about earlier, the digital cameras and the science supplies. So we identified a big need there as well. In terms of technology, what we need to really focus on is zeroing in on hiring an additional, a technology teacher. We know it plays a crucial role in education, and what they're trained to do is really integrate technology. And so to help us integrate it into the curriculum, they ensure students have digital literacy as they need to move forward. And they are also going to, additionally help the team design and implement technology-infused lessons. This would be providing activities, enhance student engagement, critical thinking, problem solving, everything that goes along with that. So that is an identified high need, is a technology teacher. So we need to learn a little bit more about, learning how to merge and integrate additional technologies and new technologies that we don't currently have access to. So this is high on our priority needs list. Okay. In terms of, how can our needs be paid for? I know you guys have seen this, this infographic before, but we're going to be kind of going through some of these. Of course, we've got, our Every Student Succeeds Act. We need to, again, this is kind of touches on our technology teacher. We need to look at revenue and budgeting streams for personnel. Also, the current year tax contributions. We've got our state total, so we're going to learn how to use and operate with that. And of course, lottery funds. I know this has been a little bit controversial, but they're used to kind of supplement our educational budget. So we're going to, in case you were wondering where this is all coming from, we broke it down into some groups here, 3 categories though. Again, you've seen the raw data in this, I know, but we've taken kind of a little bit to put this into a pie chart to kind of, so you can really see, this is where we're at with our current year taxes. Okay, we're at 51%. So a lot of our funding comes from these local sources. And of course, we've got, our ESD appointment and our local sales tax, local bonds and impact fees. But really what we're looking at here in yellow, as you can see, are the current year taxes coming in at 56%. Moving on to state sources, we had discussed this before. 38% is state aid, followed by, I know, controversial, but our lottery funds. This is where we're getting some of our money. So those are 2 big contributors to state sources. As we move into federal sources, we've got a different looking pie chart here, but Every Student Succeeds is at a big 22%, as well as Title II support, IDEA. So just some different aspects here. Our Title I grants are our top contributors. This is also in the handout too. As far as funding, this is an issue really about determining the amount of funding required for each identified need. And this again, we just want to say we are collaborating with stakeholders, the admin, finance department, and the school board to make these decisions. So, and the last thing we wanted to kind of talk about here is looking at non-traditional funding sources for grants, foundations, or partnerships. And our team came up with some really great ideas. The first being corporate partnerships. These are, this will be establishing partnerships with local businesses and corporations that can provide funding opportunities. Okay, so looking at that, companies often have, these social responsibility programs or an educational initiatives, and they are offering, grants and scholarships. We've also got, this ties in with community foundations. Our team also mentioned, crowdfunding platforms, and how that can help. Education-focused grants. So we have some really great grant writers on our team, and so getting them, geared in that direction so we can really take advantage of some of these. And of course, nonprofit organizations. So, our that is also another, non-traditional source of funding, but there are nonprofits out there. So I just wanted to say a big shout out to Carrie and Sarah and Phil and everyone on that team for really giving us some additional information on possible non-traditional fund sources. Okay, and then so thank you guys. Thank you for attending. Again, this is all kind of followed up in the handout. And it's also recorded if you want to go back. There's some links in here too. We'll be sending out, the presentation in an email if you want to click on some of these and get to know the graphs in a little bit more detail. But hopefully that kind of, touches on our facilities and technology needs assessment, and everything that we found, data and resources, everything that goes along with it. So thank you for your time today. I know your time is valuable, and we will see you soon. We're also going to provide the chat for questions. So we're taking questions and answers at this time. Thank you.